Hi everybody, welcome to the South Australian Amateur Footy Show, of course, brought to us our great sponsors, West End. What a weekend it was last weekend. Bucketed with rain, plenty of low scores, lots of action all the same out there in the amateur footy, lots to get through. Time to welcome the footy legend of the show, Gary McIntosh. Macca, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. Phil, yourself?
Pretty good. Now you've got a few stories to tell, Macca. You've got some important things happening this weekend.
Oh, look, there is an important one happening. The State of Origin game, the old South Australia versus Victoria, which is the footballers with an intellectual disability, which is the C7s. It's on Sunday at Windy Hill, which... she can blow up there a fair bit, Essendon. Look, this has been going since 1994, and it's the Ross Faulkner Cup, and South Australia have won the last three. So the coach, Michael Hewish, and his assistant, Matty Millard, have got a little bit of pressure on them to keep the winning way going. And I know our special guest is actually from Victoria.
Well, it's just about to say we could launch into the Vics and say how the South Australians love to beat them, but we've got the coach of the Plympton Footy Club, Shane Sinclair, being good enough to come in the studio. Shane, thanks for coming in.
No worries, thank you very much.
Now, we won't bucket on Victoria, so we know you've just left there, 5 years ago. Yep. So let's talk a little bit about your footy career before we get on to the Plympton Footy Club. Footy started for you, how?
Just playing in the streets with my mates, as you do. Started at Taylors Lakes, under 12s. Played a little bit at Western Jets and Melton Football Club as well, and that was it. And then moved over here and played for Plympton. So.
All right, red and black, mate. Plympton. You're not an Essendon man, are you?
No, I've tried to get them to change the red stripes to white. I'd be a lot happier, but they don't want anything to do with that.
We're heading for a short interview here now, aren't we? Now, I know you don't want to touch on it too much, but we know the start of the year when you took over, Plympton had lost 4-1-1, so you came in 5 games in. Mm-hmm. Got the boys sitting nicely in third spot. How tough coming in, miss all that pre-season and then pick it 5 games in? Yeah,
I mean, look, the being assistant to Justin, he's got his ways that he wants to coach, which is fine, and I was sort of there to support him in the way he wants to go about it. Then when I take over, you've got to, my own ways that I want the guys to play, and you've got to try and not just change it straight away. I think you just got to slowly change it. So you miss that pre-season of just building game plans and all that sort of stuff with the guys. So
it'd probably be pretty hard to implement it, after only a short time there and not having the pre-season to work with them doing it. Your coaching style, is that your background? Is it from anyone else, or is it you sort of tinkered it yourself?
No, I think probably more the way that I like to play, and that was just one-on-one basic football of having that contest there and winning the contest sort of thing. So I don't want to overcomplicate the guys and fill their heads with a lot of things that they might not need to know or confuse them all. And I was pretty much the same like that as well. I think just like to get out there and play natural football.
It's actually not a bad way to play, because you actually find out the blokes that are going to compete for you, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. And you like, and I think at the start of the year we had guys at games where we were struggling in the last quarter, and you found out whether they were trying to think of what they had to do out in the ground was not working, and everything running through their heads. Whereas, now with the contest there, they put their body on the line and for themselves and for their teammates, and and it's starting to show out in those, like I said, those last quarters there that we're starting to step up and just sort of handle the pressure and all that sort of stuff really well. So
you touched on it before. You said coming in 5 games, couldn't introduce a whole lot of things, so you went bit by bit. Smart way to go. Put the blocks in place and slowly build. What were the first couple of things that you thought needed to be tweaked almost straight away?
I think just getting the guys to play for each other. They were sort of probably a little bit disinterested, I think, with what was happening, and it was just sort of getting back to playing football and wanting to play good football with each other and winning games and having that bit of pride in themselves at the end of the game that they've competed and the results will sort of take care from themselves.
I don't want to labour on it. Your first message walking out to the first training session after you've gone from assistant coach to head coach, you've got the footies there, the boys are around you. What was the first... What was going through your mind as you're walking out? Or you're in the change rooms first? Did you your first address?
It was pretty much, I said, look, I mean, all the guys know me there anyway, so it was sort of, look, what's happened, and we've got to move on, and, I've put my hand up to take over the job, and, I was lucky to get the job, and, it's, let's start doing something now and move forward.
Well, you got a good response.
You mentioned the Western Jets, that's in the under-18 TAC Cup comp. How'd you find that style of footy? Because from what I can gather, sometimes it's a little bit manufactured in how they play it at times.
Yeah, I think... where I was playing, I think the junior sort of setup was, we had a lot of great players there, and it's probably bad to see that you could see guys that had potential to play AFL football, and I think that the way that they run it pushed them away from that sort of style and just sort of went back to their local clubs and never went any further with it. But the style of play, I mean, look, you're going to get, as the years go, they sort of, move it on a little bit further and further, and all the presses and all that sort of stuff that people do now, and the game evolves. But it was just, I think, for young kids, like, I mean, you're talking 15, 16 sort of coming through, you're just starting to find out about other things in life besides football as well, and they're just sort of
driving cars,
and girls and all that sort of stuff as well.
I'm going to mention girls, but you did.
Well, it's funny you should mention girls. Wasn't it a girl that lured you across the border?
Yeah, it was. I met Leah over here on a footy trip about 11 years ago, and kept in contact. And a few months later, she moved to Melbourne. And about 7 years later, we moved back over here. So
the move coming from Melbourne over here, you said you played 3 years before you gave it up and got into the coaching. The standard from Victoria to South Australia, comparable?
Yeah, look, I've only played Div 5 over here, so in saying that, it was probably taking a little bit of a backward step going down there to what I was used to. But I think even in the 4 years that I've been there, I think even Div 5 is really starting to sort of step up a bit now. You're starting to find teams that have got decent, like, on-ballers that could be playing higher grades of football. Most of them have got two key forwards now and all that sort of stuff that you've got to worry about, whereas even just 4 or 5 years ago you might have only had one guy that you sort of had to watch and maybe shut down one of their on balls and you could win games. So I think the standard is growing over here, and it's sort of getting up to a good standard as what I was used to back there as well. So
they say hindsight's a wonderful thing. You played and coached, and now you're just coaching.
Yeah.
Having that experience now, would you ever play and coach again?
No way. No, it was a hard job. So I think just being able to sort of watch what's going on out in the ground a lot more, and because I remember when you're playing and you're coming in at quarter time, and that you're relying a lot on your assistants to sort of give you feedback of what's happening, because you just get caught up in the game and you don't realise a lot of things that are happening out there at the time. Whereas now you can sort of analyse it a bit better. And
have you had to remove yourself a little bit more now you're the head coach? I mean, the assistant coaches often have that, they're just a little bit closer to the players perhaps than the head coach. Have you found that you've distanced yourself just a fraction more?
Yeah, a little bit. You find yourself going home probably a little bit earlier on a Saturday night, that's for sure. But no, look, I've got a good relationship, I think, with most of the guys down there, especially with playing with them, for about 4 years as well. They sort of know what I was about on the park, and I think that just sort of carries out to, when we're on the training track, it's full on, and, I don't mind having a beer afterwards with the guys and, just talking about the game or whatever it is that they want to talk about as well. So
what about Taylor's Lake and Milton? What sort of area they come from, and what was the football division they played in?
Yeah, Taylor's Lakes was in the Essendon League. They were only a new club when I was over there. I've played about 15 years with them. And now that league has just gone absolutely ridiculous. The Division 1 there's 2 divisions there, and the Division 1 have got, teams that are spending, in excess of $300,000 on players and that. I was last night just watching a footy show with, not the footy show, the Legends show with Wayne Carey saying he's going back to play for Maribyrnong Park, who Brodie Holland coaches, and I know that they've got other ex-AFL players playing there. So, that's a good standard of football that they've gotten a lot of money to spend, and that's why I think they're sort of enticing even a lot of the guys from the VFL who aren't getting paid that much to come back and play for local teams like that, where they're earning really good coin sort of thing. So, and Melton was in the Ballarat Football League, and that was probably the best club that I played for. I think that was a really good standard of football there, and again AFL and VFL players running around, and but just really cold, I think.
One of the big things with the footy, real cold. The footy clubs here, and a lot of footy clubs survive on their volunteers.
Yep.
The Plimpton Footy Club got a good base and a good group of volunteers.
Yeah, they do, and I think most of the people that were there when I first started are still there. So it shows that that they're wanting to be there, and it's a good place to be around as well. And as well as new people sort of coming through and putting their hand up to to do little jobs here and there as well. So
Sponsorship wise, the club, how does it go with that?
yeah, we're our major sponsors Scott Salisbury Homes, and we've got about 15 other sponsors after that pitch in, and they're all starting to become long-time sponsors as well, which is good. Like I said, it's like the volunteers, it's people that are wanting to be around the club and put their money into it because they can see that with the juniors coming through and that's good potential there, and the position that we're in also, sort of near between the city and Glenelg, that we're in a good area that we're hopefully going in the right direction to sort of push up the divisions in years to come, that they'll be part of it and have a bit of a good feeling about themselves in helping us sort of get there.
Who's the funniest character at your football club?
Probably two of them. I've got two twins there, the Kensers. They'd be the funniest guys there for sure. They're,
Prank pullers.
Yeah, they're up for anything. They don't mind people laughing at them, not just with them, but so they'll get up on stage and do whatever it takes just to get a laugh out of people. So yeah, them two are probably the funniest guys there, I think.
They're pretty important people to your football club if they're in the right manner, because they keep that real good enthusiasm and light-heartedness with each other, and keep the group upbeat about things.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, they're great players on the track as well. Like, I mean, they go 100% every time they're out there and they give their all, and I think they're not too old either. They're only sort of 22, 23, so they keep in contact with the younger guys and, encourage them to sort of get out there and keep interested in playing, each week, and even with the older guys as well. And I think they've got a good vibe around the club, I think, and also just with the jovial side of things as well. After football and like I said, what happens on the track is 100%, and then off the track you have that good relationship and good fun that wants you to stay around and have a drink and socialise there.
We don't want you to give too much away. You're in third spot. You play North Haven this weekend in fourth spot. What's been the focus this week?
No, nothing really.
That's playing it close, isn't it?
No, again, like we just get more about our guys just being confident in what they can do out in a footy park and that's what we do each week. And look, with the even comp that we've got this year as well, we can't afford to sort of lose any. We just try and get themselves up for each week as another challenge, another game, and another team that's in the way of
where you're headed.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I appreciate you coming in, Shane Sinclair, the coach of the Plympton Footy Club in Div 5. Big game for them this weekend. Time to have a look at the lucky West End Player of the Week. Of course, he wins that carton of West End beer. Great prize. Get on the website and help us pick the lucky Player of the Week. Stay with us. Lots still to come. Division 1, Division 2, and we'll tell you how you can win a $5,000 outdoor barbecue. Back in a moment.